Making headlines first at 9. Eliminating barriers to trade, Sri Lanka and Singapore ink much-awaited free trade pact, paving the way for preferential access beyond goods. Assuring the right to information, reports of the Bond Commission and serious acts of fraud and corruption tabled in Parliament. Attaining peace and reconciliation, former President Chandrika Kumaratunga says unity a must.
As a former leader of this country, I must say I am very, very ashamed.
Inflation slows down. Census and Statistics Department show a decrease in December consumer prices. In sports headlines, Tri-Nation Series, Bangladesh marks victory against Zimbabwe in Dhaka. Good evening, bringing you news from across Sri Lanka and around the world on Other Derana 24/7 first at 9. I'm Indivari Amwatha. We begin with your top story tonight. Sri Lanka and Singapore signed a free trade agreement today, paving the way for Sri Lankan and Singaporean companies to gain greater access to each other's markets across many sectors. Government said the Sri Lanka-Singapore FTA goes beyond goods into some services, investment, economic and technological cooperation, government procurement, e-commerce and intellectual property rights. The signing of the agreement took place in line with Singaporean Premier Lee Hsien Loong's 3-day official visit in Sri Lanka.
Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong arrived in the country yesterday upon an invitation extended by President Maithripala Sirisena, marking the first visit of a Singaporean leader in 13 years. President Maithripala Sirisena received the Singaporean Premier this morning at the Presidential Secretariat, where an official guard of honour was held for the visiting head of state. After engaging in bilateral discussions, President Maithripala Sirisena and Singaporean Premier Lee Hsien Loong witnessed the signing of the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement. It was inked by Singapore's Minister for Trade and Industry S. Iswaran and Sri Lanka's Minister for Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama. Outlining the key benefits of the agreement, Singapore state news broadcast Channel News Asia reported that over 15 years, Sri Lanka will eliminate tariffs on 80% of Singaporean exports, paving the way for a potential tariff savings of about $7,578,500 each year. Highlighting the commitment by the two countries on granting better access to each other's service markets, Channel News Asia also added that the agreement includes sectors of interest to Singaporean companies in professional and trade-related services, as well as for sectors in environment, construction and tourism. A statement by Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry said that FTA also covers cross-border transfers of information by electronic means and data flows. Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry further said that this will benefit Singapore and Sri Lanka companies, given the increase in demand for e-commerce and digital services. Sri Lanka was Singapore's 36th largest trading partner in 2017, and bilateral trade amounted to $2.046 billion. Sri Lankan imports from Singapore totaled $1.894 billion, while Sri Lanka's exports to Singapore amounted to $134.9 million. Meanwhile, the visiting Singaporean Premier also met with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Temple Trees, where the two leaders held discussions on various matters.
The final report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into Central Bank bond issuances and the Commission of Inquiry appointed to investigate into serious acts of fraud and corruption were tabled in Parliament today. The Leader of the House, Lakshman Kiriyala, asked the opposition to make a decision on their stance on accepting the report before convening a debate on it. Responding to their statement, Chief Opposition Whip Anurukumar Disanayake said that they will accept the report.
Since the cafe questioned me in writing if there are 3 volumes to the final report of the Bond Commission, annexures and evidence are not presented to Parliament, I asked my secretary to inquire into the matter. I'd like to inform Parliament that the President's secretary in response mentioned that there are no volumes to the report, while the annexures and evidence are included in the report that is sent to Parliament. Therefore, I request not to spread false information about this.
සාවද්‍ය මත සමාජගත කිරීම සුසු නොවන බවද අවසාන වශයෙන් දන්වා සිටිමි.
We are ready for a debate in this regard. This report is sent to the Attorney General and the Director General of the Bribery Commission. What else is expected to be done? I would like to have the meeting in front of the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, those who appointed the former Governor of Central Bank and those who protected him. This debate should take place in front of the thieves. The other report reveals information about how the former president used his power, how state assets were used for elections, the issue of misusing state funds for avant-garde. Therefore, these reports should be discussed in Parliament before the 10th. There was an issue about the number of pages in the report. Some said that they got the report, therefore some facts were changed and presented to Parliament.
After
the report was sent to the Attorney General and the Central Bank, it was sent here. The Secretary to the President assured it wasn't sent anywhere else. This is the report sent by the Commission. I distributed the report sent by the President's office without any changes. How can a debate be scheduled if they don't accept the report? I would like to know if those who requested for a debate on the report accept this or not. They claim that some pages were missing.
tomorrow we'll discuss.
We have no issue of accepting it. But if any information that is not included in the report is revealed at some point, it's not you who will be responsible but the Secretary to the President, and he should be asked to appear in Parliament on the grounds of misleading the House.
Right, okay.
Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga emphasizes that Sri Lanka must endeavour to take strides beyond reconciliation in order to unite all communities. Addressing the final day of Sahodara Pasal Sahodara Padasale camp yesterday, the former president also admitted that she is ashamed of the country's failures over decades of independence.
The Office for Unity and Reconciliation, in collaboration with the Provincial Education Departments, held another student exchange camp titled Sahodara Pasal Sahodara Padasale in Colombo. The 5-day residential camp brought together dozens of students belonging to 30 schools from northern, eastern and western provinces who represented different ethnic communities. The aim of the program is to strengthen reconciliation at school level across the island. The final day of the camp in Colombo was marked under the patronage of former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga.
We have now finished with the war, and the present government has decided very strongly and committedly that this harmony, coexistence, reconciliation between all our peoples must commence and continue. Actually, reconciliation, I believe, is not the most effective word for what is happening. I don't like that word very much. It's very limited. There is much more than that should happen. We should have unity between all the communities. It's not an easy job, it's a very difficult challenge. In a country like ours, a small country, we cannot live together and share our country together. I think we should all be ashamed. Then we have had independence for 70 years. Why is it that for 70 years we couldn't do it? I think we have to all understand we have all failed. As a senior citizen of this country, as a former leader of this country, I must say I am very, very ashamed.
Bringing you developments ahead of the local government elections, Chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya emphasizes that voters will not be allowed to cast their ballot on the election day unless they present one of the 7 identification cards declared as valid by the Election Commission. He made these remarks at a media briefing held at the Election Commission today.
It's important to present a valid ID card with your photograph. These ID cards include the national ID, valid passport, valid driving license, senior citizens ID, valid ID issued for clergy by the Department for Registration of Persons, ID for retired government officers, and the ID issued by the Election Commission. No one without any of these mentioned IDs will be issued a ballot paper at the polling station.
Meanwhile, leaders and members of several major political parties met with the chairman of the Election Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, today to discuss issues on the upcoming local government election.
Chairman of the Election Commission presented us with a set of instructions. He clearly mentioned that voters must use a cross sign on the ballot papers and nothing else. He also gave instructions on how to count the ballots and other necessary instructions for polling centres. There's a problem with certain criteria being implemented in a varying manner in different places because people have misinterpreted them. We brought some information we received to the attention of the chairman of the Election Commission, who said that contestants of some parties are informing their voters of a 100 rupee price for taking a photo of the ballot.
President Maithripala Sirisena says he has ensured that the law is and will be enforced on everyone, irrespective of political affiliations or stature. He was addressing the public rally of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in Anamadua today. Another public rally organised by Sri Lanka Freedom Party, led by the United People's Freedom Alliance, was held in Anamadua today.
You know that I'm not a person who led a luxurious life, nor do I come from a noble family. I used to go to the paddy field before going to school. We should hand over the country to the educated younger generation. I should clearly state that no one from my family is gearing up to be my successor. Chief Minister of Uva Province began an issue with the principal. It's me who asked him to resign from his position and directed the Inspector General to conduct an impartial investigation and enforce the law accordingly. He is brought before the courts today. That's why I say justice is the same for everyone. I won't protect anyone in any party. I clearly say if any wrong has been committed, the perpetrators should be punished.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe vows to bring about development in the country that will trickle down to the village level. The Premier made these remarks addressing a public rally in Paliagoda yesterday. Another public rally of the United National Party was held in Paliagoda yesterday under the patronage of party leader Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
People in Biyagama trusted the UPFA government for 20 years. These two electorates are functioning because of the development we brought about. They did not develop the economy after that. Although Mahinda Rajapaksa promised development, there is no development that he created. The country's export business collapsed and foreign direct investment came to a standstill. We promised to make a surplus in the trade balance within 3 years by 2020. It is because of this objective that the world engages in business with us. The country's exports improved by 15% and 2017 became the year in which Sri Lanka made the highest exports. Sri Lanka developed since 1948 because of the United National Party. Developing the country's economy is different from developing villages. More development can be achieved only if the central government, urban councils and local government bodies work together. That is why I request to vest the power of local government bodies with us.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa meanwhile denies rumours that he wished well for the former minister Ravi Karunanika over the no-confidence motion brought against him. The former president said this at a public rally of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna held in Balangoda this evening. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna organised a campaign rally ahead of the upcoming local government election in Balangoda today. The rally was held under the patronage of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Those who have newly joined the United National Party, including councillors of local government bodies, harass the president. When he cannot handle this, the president accuses me. The president has said yesterday that I wished well for Ravi Karunanika over a no-confidence motion regarding the bond issue. We haven't even brought one yet. It is a lie. But the news is that we are ready to bring one. We need to thoroughly go through the report. The no-confidence motion should be able to send Ravi Karunanika home.
The JVP dismisses statements that local government bodies will not be able to operate without the assistance of ruling party of the central government. Politburo member of the JVP KD Lalkantha made this remark addressing a rally in Madiragiriya. JVP Politburo member KD Lalkantha presided over the rally in Madiragiriya in Polonnaruwa yesterday.
Now they speak about a joint administration for local government bodies. According to the new ward system, the chairman's post is not assured for the winning party. The chairman can't work on his own agenda, but in the past the chairman was able to. Now he has to work with the assistance of other council members. The election system is changed now. A new ward system has been introduced and one responsible representative is elected to each and every ward. Then each ward has to be provided with necessary funds for development activities. Whoever wins, that party has to ensure assistance from other parties because the chairman is appointed on the basis of who wins the majority in the relevant council and not a representative of the winning party.
Before we move into business news, we'd like to take a look at a few other stories making news from across Sri Lanka.
Uva Province Chief Minister Chamara Sampath Dasanayake, who surrendered to police in connection with the allegations that he forced the principal of a Tamil girls' Vidyalayam in Badulla to kneel before him, was granted bail by the Badulla Magistrates Court. He surrendered to the Badulla police station through an attorney this morning and was later released by the Badulla magistrate on a personal bond of 200,000 rupees. The funeral of the motorcyclist who was shot dead in Katharagama by a police officer recently was held at the Nagavidya cemetery today. Meanwhile, under the directives of the Inspector General of Police, measures have been taken to build a house for the family of the deceased. A lobster species never seen in Sri Lanka has been found on the Tangol beach. According to the National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency, this lobster variety is generally found in the Pacific Ocean.
Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
In tonight's business news, inflation for the month of December slowed to 7.3% from 8.4% in the month of November 2017 due to high base prevailed during the month. The change in the national consumer prices measured on an annual average basis increased from 7.5% in November to 7.7% in December last year. Meanwhile, the NCPI increased from 126.4 index points in November last year to 126.6 index points in December last year. The Census and Statistics Department said core inflation continued to follow the declining trend exhibited since the early months of the year. As such, core inflation decreased to 2.7% in December from 2.8% in November last year. Minister of Science, Technology and Research Susil Premajayantha points out that it is necessary for Sri Lanka to proactively embrace technology and research for innovation in order to achieve higher economic development. Speaking at an event held in Colombo today, the minister added that Sri Lanka has failed to increase research to help enhance Sri Lankan export revenue to tackle current issues faced by the country pertaining to foreign exchange.
Professor Chandran Jayaratne, Senior Lecturer in Physics of University of Colombo, was inducted as the 77th General President of the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science. The ceremonial induction was held under the auspices of Minister of Science, Technology and Research Susil Premajayantha.
If we compare our population and the researchers we have in our country is of course questionable. Now we have 21.5 million population. So we should have at least 20,000 researchers in our country. But if you go through statistics, then you find about 5,300 researchers in our country, but only 3,000 actually engage in research. Every year, we have to increase the funds allocated for research symposiums because we want to encourage our researchers. So it will take at least another 2-3 decades to get the required number of researchers in our country.
The minister added that Sri Lanka lacks research innovation to help grow exports in a significant manner that would resurrect the economy.
Still we depend on our traditional exports. Our main foreign exchange income is now the remittances sent by unskilled Sri Lankans who served in Middle East countries. Our exports, mainly garments. Our entrepreneurs have to fight with other companies in Vietnam, Bangladesh, China. And the other issue is the labor. Here you don't find cheap labor. So then they have to pay higher price for labor. And on the other hand, you have to improve the quality. So you can improve the quality through research and innovation. Our private sector is not in a position to spend funds. Now we are about to start the second lab and the biotechnology lab. So we have to spend at least 6 billion rupees within next 3 years to complete the building. I am looking for some funds from foreign agencies because with our budget for the year 2018 and 19 to raise $3 billion to pay loan installments and interest for the year 2018. Treasury is not in a position to give us adequate funds to start these constructions.
And at the Colombo Stock Exchange, equities closed on a mixed note with the all-share price index ending in negative territory and the S&P SL20 closing positive. Daily market turnover stood at 1.4 billion rupees, while John Keells Holdings was by far the largest contributor to market turnover, 1.3 billion rupees, representing approximately 86% of the market turnover, was contributed by JKH. Foreign investors were net buyers of 226 million rupees worth of shares. We have Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange for a detailed report.
The benchmark all-share price index lost 3.35 points to close at 6,418.05, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index gained 9.59 points to close at 3,726.66. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,934.91 billion rupees, and foreign sales were 1.04 billion rupees. There were 3 crossings today, and the crossing turnover was 1.05 billion rupees.
Here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. US senators voted to move forward on legislation that would reopen the federal government until February 8th, ending a 3-day standoff between Democrats and President Donald Trump's Republicans over immigration and border security. Funding legislation cleared a procedural hurdle in the Senate and was expected to pass a full Senate vote promptly, allowing government to reopen. Democrats had insisted that any short-term spending legislation to keep the government running included protections for young undocumented immigrants known as Dreamers.
Young Dreamers brought to the United States illegally as children were angry and disappointed yesterday after the US Congress approved a temporary spending bill to end a 3-day government shutdown without a deal to shore up their shaky legal status. US Senate Democrats accepted the bill to restore funds to keep the government running for 3 more weeks, in exchange for a promise by Republicans to hold a debate on the status of the young immigrants. Although the shutdown is over, the immigration and budget battles rage on as both sides are trying to claim victory with varying degrees of success. Republicans are thrilled that unlike past shutdown fights, they emerged relatively unscathed. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell promised an open debate and vote on protections for so-called Dreamers. But in reality, that could go by the wayside if 3 weeks hence, Democrats force another shutdown.
Here's a look at news from around the world.
Mount Mayon in the Philippines was active again yesterday, erupting multiple times after a week of silence and leading authorities to raise the volcano's alert level from 3 to level 4. The level 4 alert was raised after Mayon erupted twice within 4 hours. This suggests a hazardous eruption is imminent and therefore nearby residents were evacuated and the danger zone was further expanded. A Japanese soldier has been killed in an avalanche in central Japan that may have been triggered by a volcanic eruption. At least 11 people have also been injured, several of them critically. Local media reported that the eruption sent rocks raining down over a kilometer-wide area near Kusatsu in central Japan. A team of National Institute of Anthropology and History archaeologists have assembled a recreation showing the splendor of the tomb of the Mayan Red Queen, who reigned 1,000 years ago. The recreated tomb will be part of the Golden Kingdom exhibit, set to open at New York City's Metropolitan Museum of Art, one of the world's most popular museums, in February. The Australian government has announced a $60 million Australian plan to help improve the health of the Great Barrier Reef. The reef suffered mass coral bleaching events in 2016 and 2017, which scientists said were a result of warmer ocean temperatures. It has also endured damage from crown-of-thorns starfish and cyclones.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
We start off with cricket. Zimbabwe made a complete waste of their 217-run chase against Bangladesh in Mirpur as they were bowled out for 125, pushing them to a loss of 91 runs. In the process, they also lost control of their path to the Tri-Series finals. Sri Lanka now have a chance to overtake them on the table if they beat the home side in the last league game day after tomorrow.
Bangladesh's spinners and medium pacers combined impressively to bowl Zimbabwe out in 36.3 overs, helping their side to a third consecutive win with a bonus point. This was Bangladesh's lowest total in a win against Zimbabwe. The win was also Mashrafe Mortaza's 30th as Bangladesh skipper, making him the most successful in terms of wins. Shakib Al Hasan took 3 wickets like he had in the 2 previous games, while there were 2 each for Mortaza, Zunzamul Islam and Mustafizur Rahman. Shakib made a 50 in the first innings as well, adding 106 for the second wicket with man of the match Tamim Iqbal, who scored his 3rd 50 in a row.
And now we travel down under to the Australian Open, where major upsets are making headlines. Novak Djokovic was part of a shocking defeat as 21-year-old South Korean Chung Hyun beat him in straight sets of 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. Chung is the first Korean player to reach the last 8 of a Grand Slam. He will face another surprise quarter-finalist, American tennis Sandgren, who qualified after beating 5th seed Dominic Thiem. To add to the woes of fans, Rafael Nadal ended his Australian Open run due to injury, allowing Marin Cilic to go through to the semi-finals.
30-year-old Novak Djokovic had treatment to his right elbow after the first set with Chung Hyun and was visibly in pain at times. Although he made it through 3 rounds, Djokovic was unable to cope with a brilliant performance from South Korea's Chung. Chung navigated to the semis with a straight sets win of 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. Meanwhile, Britain's Kyle Edmund stunned the 3rd seed Grigor Dimitrov to reach his first Grand Slam final at the Australian Open. Edmund was playing in the last 8 of a major for the first time but showed few nerves in a 6-4, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 win. The world number 49 becomes only the 6th British man to reach the last 4 at a Grand Slam in the Open era. Edmund will face Marin Cilic in the semi-finals.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Now, temperatures are to vary between 19 and 30 degrees Celsius over the course of the next 24 hours. Now, if you take a look at the map, you can see that there will be a formation of a low pressure zone in the central region of the island, which could bring about some wet weather. Now, we can expect some favorable weather conditions in the northern region of the island, particularly in areas of Jaffna, Trincomalee and Patticloe. Moving downwards, however, some wet weather is forecast for the areas of Hambantota and Galle. That is it from your weather centre tonight. It's now time to take a look at your city-by-city forecast.
That's all for tonight on First at 9 from the Derana News Centre. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with the visuals of Adam's Peak or Sripada. Legends attribute the footprint crowning the peak to that of Lord Buddha, St. Thomas, the early apostle of India, or even Lord Shiva. The pilgrimage season of Sripada begins on the day of Poya in December and runs until the Vesak festival in May, during which Buddhist devotees, young and old, reach the 7,360 feet peak by foot in order to invoke blessings. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.